live broadcast. My name's Thomas Chick, and joining us via the miracle of Google Hangout, we have Les Webster. Say hi, Les.
Good evening.
Mike Marlowe.
Howdy.
And from the blog A Galaxy Called Dallas, James Pickering.
Good evening.
So, how are you guys doing?
Doing.
We're doing. Yeah, you should. Y'all guys that are watching the show, man, you should really see the stuff before we start up. One of these days, we just need to record that stuff and just
stay tuned to find out how to buy the gag reel.
You really could.
We need to put together our own gag reel. There we go.
You really could start the recording without telling us, and there's no telling what would come up.
You know what? I may do that. Da-da-da.
Is this going to be on the blooper reel like on Smokey and the Bandit?
I picked that up today.
Yeah, I still got to get my copy.
For those who don't get that reference, that's from the Avengers. The Avengers and actually Dark Knight Returns Part 1 came out today. I picked up both of those.
Yeah.
Those are actually first DVDs I bought in forever. But those were worth picking up. A couple of house cleaning items need to go over before we start on tonight's topic.
Administrative details.
Dun, dun, dun. For those who you may have noticed that there's been a lot of changes on the website over the weekend. I did a lot of cleaning up, trying to make the website a little bit more uniform. The page that's been most affected is actually the comic news page. As you can see at the bottom, there's headlines doing most recent items from not only there, but our most recent reviews and our brand new page, gaming. We are starting to cover gaming news as well. So far, it's been pretty much role-playing games, but we are going to cover. We're going to try to cover all games, whether it's going to be role-playing games or board games, card games, video games, just gaming in general. So, and there's other things that we're talking about doing, but we haven't got those ironed out yet. So I won't announce them just right now. But if y'all have any suggestions, something else that you would like us to cover, or we will be doing game reviews. If there's anything y'all want to talk to us about, please email us at email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, and there's links on every page to where you can just click on that and shoot us an email, where we definitely want to hear what y'all have on your mind, and we'll see what we can do about making it happen, or letting you know why you won't happen one way or the other. Another bit of news. Les, welcome back. You just got back from your vacation. You still have jet lag?
No, I don't think so. I slept it out pretty good yesterday.
Okay. What time did you get in?
About 1 in the afternoon.
Oh, okay. Would you like to let the class know where you were at?
We spent a week on the island of Kauai, which is the North Island. It's known as the Garden Island of Hawaii. It's very casual, very quiet, very nice.
I hope you brought enough for everybody.
I certainly did. Here you are. Take it in.
And was this business or pleasure or?
Yes.
This was pleasure, because there are no comic book shops on the island. So
There you go, a niche. Fill that niche. Fill that niche.
Well, that's like my friend Ron, the guy who I helped with his book and everything. He went to Maui week before last. And before he was leaving, he says, I'm thinking about taking some of my books with me. And I said, well, why don't you check and see if there's any bookstores in the area, and then see if they can fit you in for an hour or two to do a book signing. He says he found one. It was on the opposite side of the island and everything. And he says, I'm just going to stick to the golf course. He says he sells more out the back of his car than he does at the bookstores.
Wow.
oh my gosh.
Don't you have to have a permit for that or something? Jeez.
Well, it's kind of scary to think, a 71-year-old man standing behind his car going, hey, you want to see what I got in the trunk?
Yeah, does he wear a trench coat and have him hanging inside? Hey, check this out.
First one's free, kid.
Don't tease me, bro!
Does he have a German accent? Thank you for asking, though. Had a good time.
Well, that's good. Glad you had a good time. We're glad that you're back.
We missed you.
What? He was gone.
Like you need another hole in the head.
Wow. Well, I know the store missed you. I miss you, although it was great. It was kind of nice talking to Brandon a little bit.
Well, that's good. He was able to fill in on all day Wednesday.
I guess so. I know he closed.
Okay, so he was there till 11 in the morning.
Yeah, I assume he opened, since he usually handles putting the books together. Okay, tonight's topic, a little kind of introduction, I guess, or where this came from. I guess it was late last week. Saw a editorial, I guess what you would call it. It was a column from Keith Giffen. Some of y'all may know him from doing, say, The Heckler, Ambush Bug, the trio that brought us the Justice League International. He's put out a lot of good stuff, whether it's comedic or dramatic. He's a good writer and good artist.
Yes.
Were you gonna say something?
No, I'm just agreeing.
Okay. He did a column regarding continuity and how this has been brought up a lot recently regarding in particular to the new DC, but it's basically comics in general. Although after thinking about it, I was trying to go back and I was thinking where it's not been an issue where you're reading the story and you can't figure out, or they don't tell you where the story takes place. Generally the sci-fi books don't have that issue. I mean, you pick up an issue of Star Wars. Every front page, every inside cover, you usually have either inside cover or the first page has a timeline, and it says, okay, this story takes place, say, 50 years before the Battle of Yavin, which is a reference to the first movie, A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
Star Trek, that's never really been an issue of them saying, hey, more than likely not, if, you can tell costume-wise, or uniform-wise, as I should say. In the current books, it's all taking place after the events of the last movie. Doctor Who, well, he's a Time Lord, so...
So for continuity.
It's a wibbly wobbly, timey wimey timeline.
Absolutely.
That's right. But regarding heroes, it seems like it's especially ones that are more popular. It seems to be loose, let's say. When I was younger, when I first got into comics, I didn't really think about it, but I know Les and I have talked about this subject off and on several times over the years. When I got into comics, Batman was in 5 titles, if you think about it. He was in Batman, Detective, World's Finest, Brave and Bold, and Justice League of America. And you know what? I picked up the books, I read the books, I enjoyed the books. I didn't think about, well, where was this taking place in regards to the other books? Never thought about that. It seems to me over the course of the last, what would you say, Les? About the last 20 years or so, it seems to be a little bit more of people vocalizing, okay, how is this happening? Why is this happening? Or,
Yes, it's within the last 20, 25 years, I would say, because you've got, I guess one of the major ones was the death of Superman. This caused a lot of change, brought in new characters. The other DC that probably did that threw continuity off was some of the Batman stuff of the 90s. But DC has tried to rectify, has tried to right the ship, and with everything they're doing, they haven't always been successful.
Was Final Crisis a part of that to fix that?
Yes, because...
Are we sure about that?
I mean,
An attempt to fix it, maybe. Not necessarily successful.
Because it actually started with the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Right.
And it got to a point where it had to go to this latest Crisis stuff to try to shut down all these worlds and make it understandable. But as soon as... Oh, go ahead.
I think that's the one that I actually meant was Crisis on Infinite Earths. Was that an attempt to try to write it, or was that a marketing ploy went wrong?
No, the first Crisis, the Crisis on Infinite Earths was the one back in mid '80s, and basically what they were trying to do is consolidate all the Earths to basically one Earth, and cut out some of the conflicting stories. Try to make origins and timelines a little bit more solid. And in a way, some people have called it Marvelizing DC. In a way, and it's true, because all of a sudden Superman, who used to be able to fly into space and move planets out of orbits, he can fly into space, but he needs to have oxygen, but he can't be out there that long, and
I just
they severely depowered him and that kind of stuff. It's kind of that kind of stuff.
That's something I just noticed yesterday or a couple of days ago. I found all 4 volumes of Kingdom Come again in my favorite spot, the clearance section of Half Price Books. $1 a piece, snagged them and read them from cover to cover. And I noticed that he's wearing an oxygen mask, and I'm like, "What the hell's up with that?"
Yeah.
He's Superman. He's not supposed to have to worry about that. And I love the story, but I was trying to figure out where that came from. I didn't know if it was maybe just part of that story, or and so I didn't know that they actually jacked with him like that.
Back in when they started after the Crisis, they try to make Superman less godlike, I guess. Just not so powerful that try to emphasize more of the man than the super.
So Kryptonite wasn't working it?
Well, that got so bad because you had Rainbow Kryptonite. I mean, you had all the different colors of the rainbow to do different things. It kind of got, for someone who supposedly only has weakness of kryptonite, and then later they added magic, and then they added all these different forms of kryptonite that did different types of stuff, and it is,
Well, and kryptonite was they were getting to the point where they were having to make kryptonite so easily accessible that, I mean, you get to the point where what's the point?
Yeah. See, I thought kryptonite. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, why not just jack down the power a little bit on the Superman knob and let him actually have something? Somebody can actually fight him and have a reasonable chance of success.
Yeah.
It gets boring if Superman can't lose. Then what's the point?
That's true.
Yeah, because that's what I always thought was that kryptonite was supposed to be a rare mineral. You didn't come across it every day, and so it was really, really hard to find it. Thus, granted, Superman could be defeated using kryptonite, but you really had to work to find it.
Yeah. What was it? But it just seems like.
Wasn't that the run on Peter David when he rebooted Superman? If you recall, all of a sudden he couldn't breathe in space. He was a more of a mortal person than
John Byrne.
Oh, yes, thank you, John Byrne. Yeah, because all of a sudden all of these great things that Superman could do were not available to him anymore.
Which is a great read. If you can find it, it's called The Man of Steel. The first thing you'll notice is there's some nods to Superman the movie, but it's nowhere near as obvious as Jeff Johns' origin that he did a couple of years ago. It was really interesting because not only did they do that, but they made Lois not so much more as a damsel of distress that she can handle herself, as well as get herself in danger, but in trying to get the story, but she can, in a lot of cases, she can get herself out of it too. It's a really great read. I do recommend it. But there are several characters where you've got several issues. They've got several books, and you can't. Like I said, back when I was a kid, I didn't sit there thinking, okay, here's this issue where this hero's getting his head handed to him by one villain, and then here's this other book, he's dealing with some other threat, and then here's this other book where he's in space, or she's in space. I don't need to be, And one of the most recent ones where you go like, okay, how does this work? Is the whole Punisher and Frankencastle, which I know Les and I were going on and on about. Like, okay, how can you have a Punisher book where he's human, and then you have this other book where he was killed and tore to pieces, and then he was sewed back together, so he's basically a Frankenstein monster, but he's the Punisher.
And that was taking place in the same timeline?
It was the books were coming out at the same time. Now, whether whether it's the same continuity or not, we don't know, but that's led to the famous quote from John Quesada. I'm pretty sure he actually said it's been attributed to him several times as F continuity.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of like with Night of the Owls. We were talking about this last week about how I pretty much kind of stick to the Batman family when I'm reading my DC comics and stuff. And Court of the Owls, Night of the Owls, I love the storyline, but when you get into all the other members of the family, Batgirl and her fighting some of them, and Nightwing and all the others, it's kind of hard when I'm reading my Batgirl and then all of a sudden I've got Night of the Owls. You're trying to figure out, okay, where does that tie in? She's got her own little storyline going, and she just go, hey guys, time out. I got to go over here and go fight this guy. Go over, fight, make her appearance in the timeline for Night of the Owls, and then run back and jump back into her comic.
Yeah.
When you've got so many timelines, because I mean, what is it, like 13, 14 titles in the Batman family? Red Hood and the Outlaws, and Nightwing, and Batwing, and it goes on and on and on. Basically, it comes down to this, and this is what I've had to do. And it's kind of what I do with, a book being turned into a movie or a movie being rebooted. That is its own entity. Forget everything else when you're reading it. Otherwise, you do get caught up in the continuity of it, and you go, how the heck has that happened? When do they have time for that? When do they sleep? When do they eat? When do they go to the bathroom? You don't really want to think about that kind of stuff. But you do kind of wonder sometimes, boy, they lead a busy life. And if you don't, I don't know if suspend your belief or disbelief, however that phrase goes, I don't know if that's exactly what you're doing, but sometimes you just have to kind of forget all the other timelines and just say, it happens. It's magic.
It's a story.
Exactly.
Ah, come on.
Or you could do what the Superman titles did in the early '90s. What they did was they tied in all the books together, where a storyline would start in one book and then follow in the other books, and it was designated by the S shield with a number in it, and it was like, say, 1992, and then let's say Superman, just Superman, the main book.
Mm-hmm.
It's 1992. It's number 15. Okay, well, I read this, and it says to be continued in Adventures of Superman. So you got to go to the Adventures of Superman, and it's issue 620. You pick that up, and and there's the S shield, and it says 1992, 16. So, and it went through that way. You could do that, but the problem is people are going to complain because they're going to I got to buy all these books so I can finish up the story.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in continuity.
Yeah.
Well, another alternative option for this is to do what it sounds like they've been trying to avoid, is the whole Infinite Earths thing. You have a Batman from Earth 1, you have a Batman from Earth 2, however many Earths you want, and you can blow continuity right away by just having different stuff happen to different Batmans. Where's that Batman? I'm not sure which, but
they're essentially doing that now with Earth 2 and World's Finest. All of a sudden, you have an Earth 2. I thought everything was gone when they started their reboot, but obviously not. They are still sticking with the idea of multiple Earths, and we've only found out about a second now.
That's true, but there's not a Batman on Earth 2 where you've got 7 or 8 titles that feature that character. They're all based on Earth 1.
But originally, when the books were put out in the 30s and 40s, Batman was not a member of the Justice Society. Neither was Superman.
Mm-hmm.
You had Wonder Woman, Flash, Dr. Midnight, and some others. But those two majors were not part of it.
Careful, Les. You're going to date yourself there.
Reason why. There was a reason why they weren't there.
Well,
they were owned by a different company.
Well, okay, there's that. You also hadn't quite gotten into the marketing phase of these companies' existence, where they think to themselves, well, hell, let's see, Batman sells a whole lot of books. Yeah. What would happen to Justice League if we put Batman in there? Maybe it would sell more books.
Well, and I mean, we haven't even touched that. Talk about cameos and guest appearances. That makes everything. For a character that has 5 or 6 titles, and then all of a sudden he or she guest appears in about 6 or 7 other titles.
Yeah, that might be another show.
Well, I was going to say the closest to that, 2 weeks ago, I picked up a copy of Marvel matchups with Red Sonja, where she inhabited Mary Jane's body, and Spider-Man, and then you've got, not Superman, but you've got Clark Kent making a little cameo in one of the panels on page 3 or something like that. I don't know if that's the closest that they've come to doing that, but in fact, me being the noob in the comic section and everything, when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, I got to have that," because it had all 3 of my favorite things. Well, close. It had Red Sonja, it had my Spider-Man, and it had Clark Kent. But if that's the closest I can get to Superman in it, I'll take it.
Yeah, that kind of stuff happens all the time. And Les can testify to that, because there's been times where you might see Jimmy Olsen in a Spider-Man book, and then you might see here's a kid with a camera in a Batman title, and he says something about JJJ, gonna give him crap for not getting that picture, that kind of thing.
Now, can they do that without violating copyright or something?
It's been happening. I think it's just homages, and I think that's the spirit of it. So that's why nothing's ever been done about it. It's just an homage. I think that was the intent. I think that's the intent. So that's how it's handled.
Cool.
How it's received.
I think George Perez is probably the most notorious for dropping characters into a story like that. He's done it for years, and I applaud him for it, because if he can get it past their editors, I think that's a great thing to have out there. Some camaraderie there, anyway.
Yeah. I love seeing that kind of stuff. Get past the fact that you're working for different companies, everything, and kind of share. You share the universe, even if it's Marvel on one side and DC on the other side. Acknowledge each other.
Yeah.
What else was said in the continuity ramble?
Well, I'm trying to remember, but I think the basic gist of it was, don't worry about it. It's not that big deal. It's just it's a comic book.
Good
just enjoy it for what it is. Am I wrong, guys?
Yeah. I was just looking at something here. It says continuity demands that a character's previous appearances fit into an overall rigid timeline. How long was Mirror Master Glass? What events passed during that period? How can he appear in The Flash after being Glass for a month when Green Lantern's had only a week's worth of adventures during the same period? Continuity demands I read every DC book that arrives in my comp package, because God forbid I set a story in Cleveland and not acknowledge that fact that Jeff's got the JSA tearing up a section of that city that month. But honestly, does anybody really care?
Yeah.
And I think that's what it comes down to. Nobody really cares, as long as it's not so overtly obvious that you're going, hey, that's it just jumps out at you. But if it's just kind of offhand, is anybody looking at a Google map going, all right, that's where they're playing or where they're fighting right here, and then these guys over here on this side of Manhattan doing this? Nobody's doing that, so it's not that big of a deal, at least not to me.
We were talking about guest appearances and such, and it just bothers me if Daredevil is fighting in New York City and he has a guest appearance in the West Coast Avengers. That kind of throws me, because his adventure in New York City is a second part of a 3-parter, yet he's got time to go to the West Coast and fight somebody else there, and be able to fly back to finish off his fight in next month.
He's that good.
He is that good.
He's racking up those frequent flyer miles.
There you go.
Like I said,
aboard first.
Like I said, time out, guys. I got something else to take care of. One of the other things that was brought up in the article, and we kind of touched on it the other day when we were talking about it, was also how a character behaves. One of the paragraphs was talking about consistency, they were talking about consistency, not continuity, and how consistency dictates that a character behave in a manner consistent with his or her history, personality, whatever is established. Superman doesn't act like Batman, doesn't act like the Hulk, and so on and so forth. And that was kind of one of the things that also rang with me, especially recently, was Batgirl Zero, one of the issues that came out a couple of weeks ago, and some other people had touched on it. One of the things was Batman showing up when after Batgirl has taken down what's his name, Harry X, I think was the bad guy, taking him down in the police station. Batman comes out of a corner, just looks at her and goes, "Nice job," turns around and walks off. Yet if anybody else, any of the guys that was trying to take over Robin's spot or start their own little thing, he would be on him and go, you know, you don't have what it takes. You've got to train more, and I'm the only one that can train you. But basically, he would have shot him down in a heartbeat. But here's Commissioner Gordon's little girl, what, 16, 17 at the time that she's doing this?
Yeah.
If that. And she's just taken down a guy that's about 4 times her size, and he looks at her and says, "Nice job." That, to me, didn't really fit into the character that's been built up over the years.
Yeah, well, especially you really would be confused if you read Nightwing Zero.
Mm-hmm.
And have you read that?
Yes, I did.
Because he did exactly what you were talking about. You know, Dick figured things out, and he says, "Okay, I'll let you enter my world, but you're basically going to be staying in the Batcave and working in computers and helping me out that kind of way. And with Alfred, you're not getting a costume, you're not going out on patrol, you're not fighting crime."
Well, and the same thing with Batman Zero, with Batman and Robin Zero, with Damian. Damian training with ninja assassins when he's 3 years old. Here he is, 10 years old. He's the world, probably the greatest assassin there is, and he's 10 years old. And yet Batman still is trying to kind of curtail his actions and put a leash on him. Now, of course, he's probably doing it because it's his son. Even if he is a test tube baby, but still, that's the only reason I could see him doing it there. But I can see him doing it to everybody. But then when he does it to Batgirl like that, the only thing that I can say is, it may just be Gail Simone's take on it. Maybe she wants, in her universe, Batman's not so. Or maybe he sees something in Barbara Gordon that nobody else saw. And so it's just time's going to tell as you read that story. I can be very forgiving when I read these things. Of course, I've also been told that I have very low standards, so who knows?
Well, the unforgiving Batman to me was brought forth during the Dark Knight series by Miller. Mm-hmm. He was all of a sudden he was this crusty old guy that hated everybody. But
so Clint Eastwood played Batman, huh?
I'm sorry?
Clint Eastwood played Batman?
That's about what it seemed like, yeah. Except when they did Bruce Wayne in Batman Beyond, he would give the young teenager there props when he needed it, when it was called for, and therefore, to me, that made Bruce/Batman more human. Gave him a much deeper sense. I got a much deeper sense that he was somebody worth working for or with. When Jason Todd was with him, the Robin that no one liked, it was understandable why he would be so fierce on the boy. But there were even times there where he would say, "Good job."
Yeah, you want to think that Batman, even though he's living in this dark world where his parents were murdered and he's wanting to avenge them and not have that happen to anybody else in Gotham City, you want to think that he understands that there are other people out there that have their own problems and they may want to think the same way he does, and so he kind of takes not necessarily pity on them, but he empathizes with them and can understand where they're coming from. So he does tend to be a little bit more, supportive. So,
Well, and also, if you're writing a story aimed at teenage boys, you don't necessarily want to make all of the grown-ups completely hateful and nasty because it just sets a bad precedent. You know, you don't want to plant that idea in their heads.
well, I don't know. It's, talking about making people that, you kind of, when I first started reading the Batman and Robin series with the new Damian, I couldn't get through an issue without, by the time I got to the end of it, wanting to take Damian and just take a belt to his behind and whoop the hell out of him, He's this whiny little kid. Of course, now, that I fully understand where he's coming from, he's not a 10-year-old, He is an elite killer, so, you got to treat him that way. Now, will Batman ever do that? Will Batman ever look at Damian and go, okay, you're my son, but you're an equal to me? Not necessarily equal, but you know what I mean. And, I kind of hope it gets to that point, because sometimes the daddy-son battles, it's like, Batman, just please knock the snot out of him.
Well, you would have to take a number in line for people that want that to happen, believe me. Because there are times that I wanted to smack the boy around, too.
As, in addition to liking this story, I think that's the other reason I keep reading it, because I want to be there when it happens.
You see that payoff coming.
Yeah.
You're hoping it's coming.
I can't wait for that special issue. I hope it's a 100-page spectacular. Maybe even with a pull-out in it or something.
Special die-cut variant cover.
With Damian bent over Batman's knee.
5 different covers.
Oh, at least 5.
So, yeah, I've kind of gone back and forth on it.
How is this going to affect Marvel's redo?
Well, it's not, because they're not doing anything to they're not doing anything to their timeline. They're just shuffling around teams and characters in different books, and then starting off with brand new number ones.
They're not shaking their Etch-a-Sketch nearly as hard as DC did.
Ooh, look, there's an image still left. Let's see what we can turn that into.
Yeah.
You speaking about that, they're bringing on titles on every month, with brand new number ones every month, starting this month or November, October or November. I know it's going on in November. I don't remember if it starts in October, but anyway, the stuff for December's, the solicits for their stuff in December. Notice that Spider-Man's final issue during this particular run is 700. Kind of wanted to point that out, that the last issue with this numbering is 700, and then of course next month will be number 1.
Until they get to close to 800.
Right.
Well,
makes it handy until they decide they want to go back, and then they can just jump back in, and they won't remember where they were.
When they get to 750, it'll go back to the original numbering. But we've already talked about that before.
I was looking at the release calendar, and they're showing that the 31st of October, they've got A+X number 1. Then there's like Marvel Universe versus the Avengers number 1. Now, with the Avengers and the X-Men, is that a new line? This 12 issue thing that they just did, is that leading into a new title story arc that they're going to run, or?
Well, they're all. A lot of them are getting new numberings and that kind of stuff, but and some of them are they're shaking up the teams. I mean there is a brand new title called Uncanny Avengers.
I'm looking at that right now. Yeah,
which is half the crew is Avengers and half of them are X-Men.
Yeah,
which I kind of find interesting.
Yeah.
And Mike's just laughing at the fact that they call it an Uncanny Avengers.
Why don't they just call it the X-Men? Come on.
Surprised they don't have the Mighty X-Men.
Give them time.
It's on its way, I'm sure.
There's plenty of time to screw things up.
Once they pass our little broadcast around in their office,
yeah.
Hey, those guys got a great idea.
The West Coast X-Men.
Hey, as long as they bring us on as a creative team, who cares?
Yeah.
The thought.
A-Force, A-Factor. Do those titles.
Secret X-Men.
Yeah.
X-Men Academy.
It sucks.
They could do like they did with Wolverine and give some of them their own individual titles. Oh, wait. They did that.
Yeah, there it is.
Go ahead.
I was just looking at November. They're doing Fantastic Four #1, Captain America #1. So yeah, jumping straight back to #1s on it.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be spread out through February. So there's going to be like a bunch of #1s each month from I guess November to February.
Mm.
So everybody, make sure you buy 5 copies.
Mm. I just hate the fact that they're canceling Avengers Academy. I've enjoyed that book.
Well, they have to make way for something. So.
Well, they're doing it. It sounds like, from what I've been reading, that they're replacing it with this. I'll have to look it up. Hang on.
Oh, wait,
Okay,
they came up
guys,
with an
let's
academy
go.
for mutants. Oh, wait, they already did that.
Oh, shoot. Hang on.
Maybe they can do Moon Mutant. Give me 2 of the best parts of the Marvel Universe.
What, in one book? Heck no.
What was I thinking?
We're going to spread it out over 5 titles and make you want to buy every single one.
Be the first in your block.
That's right, kids. Remember what P.T. Barnum said. There's a sucker born every minute. That brings up a friend of mine who's Jay Wells. She writes a series of not urban romance, the urban fantasy novels. Sabina Kane's character, she fights demons and things like that. But she said that she saw one of her books on Amazon the other day used for $46. I said, those are speculators. Those people put it out there. I've seen books that you can get for a penny, but there's one copy for $999. Why? Because there is a sucker out there that will pay that price for it.
Thinking that the penny copy was in worse condition than the $999.
It's almost $1,000. It has to be in great shape.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I went online to look for HeroClix, the Justice League that just came out, because I was missing 3 characters. And those 3 characters I found on eBay going for around $15 each.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, I appreciate the thought. Because I'm not paying, when I only paid, like $80 for the whole set, the 24 I had, why would I want to pay another 45 for 3 characters?
Mm-hmm.
Complete the set, that's why.
Well,
And come on. Are you a collector or aren't you?
well, I got lucky. Somebody wanted to sell theirs at a local comic shop, so I picked those up for like all 3 of them for $10.
You're a shrewd businessman, Les.
Yes, I am.
Well, that's like some of the things that I list on my Amazon account. I've got I've found books like this. This is an old book about basic programming. In fact, I want to say I had a copy of this back in the early '80s, but I went to list it, and I list that in good shape. Granted, it for being 30 years old, it's in excellent shape if you ask me. But according to the Amazon guidelines, I kept it as good. There's no marks or anything, and the guy with the lowest price on it, it was still like $45, and his was in worse shape than mine. But I can't bring myself to go, oh, it's better than his, so I'm going to nail mine at 60. Because, I'm sorry, I have to sleep at night. But there's people out there that will sell you a book with the cover hanging on by a small thread and go, oh, but it's a classic, $1,000.
Yeah. I found the title I was trying to locate. It's called Avengers Arena, and that's basically what's replacing Academy. And basically, the whole premise is they're taking all the kids through either the Academy, Runaways, New Mutants, and some of the others, and they're putting them together where they're battling each other.
Mm-hmm.
This is an ongoing series.
This is an ongoing series?
As far as I could tell, it was ongoing.
Oh, The Hunger Games was a very popular movie, wasn't it?
The only thing that I find it's kind of interesting is it's Arcade's Murder World, and I know Les doesn't know who Arcade is, but
I think I remember Arcade. Good lord.
huh?
I think I remember Arcade. Holy cow.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry, I'm at a loss.
he was a hitman, but how he handled killing his targets was that he put them in basically game worlds where they had to survive. I mean, the first time we saw him, he was battling Spider-Man and Captain Britain, and they were in a humongous pinball machine, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Uncanny X-Men 1963, number 123, from the looks of it.
Mm-hmm.
That is it.
So,
That just sounds too weird.
I take that back. That's not 1963. Originally published 1979.
It was
Uncanny X-Men, and that was Arcade's Murder World.
yeah. What were you gonna say, Mike?
I said he was ahead of his time.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Dun,
Yeah,
dun, dun.
But if it wasn't a video arcade, then he was lacking something. If there was a large pinball machine that they were dodging a ball rather than a virtual.
Well, it looks like a giant pinball machine from what the cover looks like. See if it will let me do this.
It's been a while since I've read those books.
Well, that stinks. It won't let me paste the link in the chat box.
Don't.
It sounds funny. Chat box.
Box.
Okay, we got to draw straws. Who cleans up in the chat box after this is over?
I'm allergic, man. I can't get near the chat box.
I think I hear my mom calling. Gotta go.
You get in here and clean that chat box.
Was
Boy,
there
I was just going to say, it didn't take long for the conversation to degrade, does it?
It usually doesn't with us.
Was there anything else said in the article that is of great importance?
Oh, it doesn't really solve anything. He basically, if I remember correctly, he just says, hey, it's comic books, almost a Shatner thing. Get a life.
Well,
Yeah, there was kind of a whatever feel to the whole thing. That's for sure.
he does admit to actually creating some of those faux pas, and
That's true.
it says in 2020 hindsight, I'm not something I'm proud of.
Yeah, it's a story. You tell the story, and you don't worry too much about it. As long as you're telling a good story, it won't matter.
It's
If you happen to be telling 5 good stories at the same time, so be it.
your pleasure should be five times better.
But you know there are some people out there that are just going to be that anal.
Well, and I mean, part of that is that you're never going to make everybody happy with every story.
God, yeah.
Somebody's going to get ticked because they don't like the way they handled this, or Batman's costume is too blue, or whatever. And so they're going to get cranky, and they're going to look for something to complain about. Oh, well, this doesn't line up with this over here.
Power Girl's not showing enough bosom.
Wonder Woman would never do that in real life. So
Wonder Woman doesn't wear pants.
that's right.
What's up with that 90s getup? Sometimes the writer just has to look at that little group and go, yeah, shut up.
Yeah, take a hike.
They bought the book. That's all that matters.
Sure, go ahead, complain, but you paid your money already. Sorry.
Yep.
Except sometimes they complain without looking at the book.
That's true.
Or movie or TV series or whatever you want to call.
Well, and that's kind of like the new bit of news about The Hobbit. They've put Evangeline Lilly in there as a new character. Tauriel, I think, is the name of the elf that she's going to play. And that character is not anywhere in the books. It's something that Peter Jackson has had written into the story. And I'm like, just waiting for the firebombing to start, and hordes and mobs of nerds, storming Peter Jackson's studio, going, "What the hell have you done?" And I'm like, just give it a chance. See the movie first. See what happens. You might like it.
But where's the fun in that?
A little romance might help the story along.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that was my kind of guess on it. Since she's going to be an elf, there's only 1 or 2 places that she can be. She can be with the elves in Mirkwood when Bilbo's got to save the dwarves, or she's going to be part of the Battle of the Five Armies. So I don't know if there's a lot of romance during that part, but then again, Peter Jackson could pull something out of his hat. Who knows?
And the fans would love it.
You got to do something to get women into that movie. There's just no other.
Yeah.
There just aren't any. Plain and simple. Not in the book.
It's no, they are bringing Legolas. He was not in the book, but they're going to bring him in at some point. He will be in one of the movies, but just kind of for a little. In fact, they're even talking about Evangeline Lilly's character not coming into like the 2nd or 3rd. The only reason that this is leaked out so soon was the fact that they've already started doing the run on their on the toys, the action figures, and so they went ahead and started putting her stuff out, or at least doing cover art, that kind of thing. And that's all they have is a picture of an action figure box, but nothing else. So there's a lot of speculation on that. But it's like you said, same thing with the comic books. Everybody's going to have something to gripe about. So,
need more cowbell.
As long as you got little Damien's head inside it, yeah, we're okay. Yeah, more cowbell.
That would be effective.
In fact, what was it? Mike talking about Batmite when we were talking about the Batman family. I actually would consider Batmite a little bit more tolerable than Damien on some of his days. So,
wow.
Yeah.
that bad. And and if Zach and Jaina would show up with Gleek the monkey, I would accept that too.
It's possible Zan and Jaina showed up before during the 90s.
Yeah, why don't they still have their own comic book?
Well, they were part of the Justice League Task Force.
I had two buddies back in the Navy. They got off. This is back when we were in the Persian Gulf, and they got off a long watch one night. They were half dead to the world. It was about midnight. I was getting up for a watch. They were getting ready to come back and go to bed, and the racks were one above each other. And I just remember looking over them, and they're just kind of groggily getting things done. And one turns to the other and goes, "Wonder Twin Powers activate," and they tap fists, and one goes, "Form of a pillow," the other goes, "Shape of a mattress," and they crawl right to their respective racks.
Wow.
I'm sure a lot of others were asleep by then, so they were not part of this this interaction.
No, it was a special moment for me.
One that you held over their head, I hope.
No, but it's just one of those things that's kind of a moment that you just kind of look at each other and go, yeah, and go on with your life.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone else want to say before we decide to head off for this? Not for today's show. Sorry, it's been everybody out there. It's been kind of a rough couple days for me, so I'm kind of out. So I do apologize. Anybody you want to bring up anything else? We're on our final week of voting for the Hall of Fame. So please get in your votes. It ends this Sunday. I believe I have it the deadline at 10 p.m. this Sunday, the 30th.
All right.
Anybody else want to promote anything else? I know there's the Galaxy Called Dallas blog, which you should check out. It's awesome.
Yeah, definitely come by and check out the website if you live in the Dallas area. I try to keep tabs on pretty much any of the geeky, nerdy events that go on around the area. Conventions, movie screenings like tonight. Keith's Comics was doing the Avengers release party at the Angelica. If you missed that, sorry. I did put word out about it.
Yeah.
But also to all the people that might see this out there, if you have tips that you think I might be able to put out for you to help spread the word about certain events, please be sure and email me at a galaxy called gmail.com, and give me the pertinent information for it, and I'll be sure and get it on the blog. You can also follow me on Twitter at @Galaxy_Dallas, and I'm also on Facebook at A Galaxy Called Dallas.
You talk about other special events coming up. If you go to HalloweenMovies.com, you look up the information. I don't remember what the website they refer to, but the original movie is being put back out this October.
It certainly is.
Here locally, it's going to be at the Texas Theater, and I believe it's for the. Is it just the final week of the month? Is that correct, James? I never did see any days.
Let me see here.
For the month, or for just that one night, or.
Let me pull this up because I can't remember off the top of my head either. HalloweenMovies.com.
I forgot who they're working with conjunction for doing this, but I definitely would like to do that because I've never seen that movie at the big screen, and it's got to be. It's got to see it. I got to see it in the big screen.
Well, and it's kind of like watching Raiders of the Lost Ark on IMAX. I went, saw it, and that's the way it needs to be seen. you know, Indiana Jones swinging from one side of the big screen all the way to the other, and you know, it's so to see movies like this back on the big screen, you know, after so many years, it's really cool, and so any chance to get to see these things, you know, back up there. Yeah, it's doing a 1 week run after 35 years. Can you believe it's been that long?
It's been that long.
Yeah.
So it's for a full week. Okay, good.
Probably the easiest way to do it is just do a Google search, do movies and your zip code wherever you're at, and then just do a search for the Halloween movies.
Yeah. And since we're kind of starting to get into it toward that time of the year, with Halloween, of course, everybody's going to start putting out scary movies and all that. Phantom Events, FATHOM events.com. Check that out. Wednesday, October 31st, at selected theaters, they are showing The Bride of Frankenstein, and I believe they're also doing the original Frankenstein.
Oh, wow.
I think they're doing both movies that one night.
Fathom Events is really good about doing stuff like that.
I know Bride of Frankenstein is. I'm thinking that the original is as well. These are the 30s versions, the Universal versions.
Mm-hmm.
It would make sense for the original to be shown with the Bride, but I don't remember that right now off the top of my head. I would love to do that.
Got them right here. Oh, back on the Halloween movies.
Yes.
It starts October 25th through the 30th is when those will be seen. And then with this one here, they're actually on the 3rd. They're doing, on October 3rd, they're doing the 30th anniversary of E.T. If you haven't seen it, which I have never seen E.T.
You've never seen the movie?
Had a deprived childhood. What can I say?
You were the one person.
The one person, yeah. The let's see, double feature on October 24th only. Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh, is it 24th?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was thinking it was actually the 31st. I'm not sure where I got that from. Then.
Now, my personal favorite is the guys from Rift Tracks, which used to be Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah.
They are doing the next night on October 25th, which is a Thursday. They're doing Birdemic. And so it's going to
epidemic.
Yeah, and so it will be Rift Live in movie theaters, which they'll probably do like they did Plan 9 from Outer Space, which is them simulcasting in Nashville, Tennessee, and doing it live from there, but going out to all the different theaters.
Yeah.
So, if it's like that one, it should be a real good movie.
Yeah, Les and I were planning to go to the one last month because they were redoing Manos, The Hands of Fate. And we totally missed it. We totally missed it. So, Les, Mike, anything y'all wanna plug before we head off for the night?
Don't forget our Facebook and Twitter.
That's true. Facebook.com/The Fellowship of the Geeks. And Twitter is @Fellowship Geeks. And of course, Google Plus, which is a big long string of numbers. Be best just go to our website. If you go to the main page, you can see over there upper right-hand corner, we have all of the social media links. So you can start following us there, and we would greatly appreciate it. Les, do you have anything you want to add or anything you want to promote?
No, nothing offhand.
Outside of the fact that we will be at Fan Days, the 19th through the 21st.
Woohoo!
In Irving Convention Center. We've had another cancellation. We've had one scare, but there's no cancellation. Christina Locken has canceled again. So I think that's the third show she's canceled. She's canceled every show this year, I believe. So it kind of makes you wonder what's going on there. And then the scare, if you've not if you've not heard or what's been going on, Stan Lee has recently canceled appearances for like the next couple weeks, including his own convention, the Kamikaze, which has led to a lot of speculation on Twitter and everywhere else wondering about his health. I've never heard anything official of what's going on. They've been pretty vague about it. I know some people have been upset about all the speculation, but that's going to happen when you don't say, you just say, hey, this is happening, and don't give a reason. And especially someone like Stan Lee, who has a lot of fans and has a lot of people who respect him, and he is like 89 years old. So health is going to be a concern about him. Especially, he does a lot of these shows. He goes everywhere around the country and does a lot of shows. And of course, they have him doing the cameos in the movies, so he's busy all the time. So health is. I don't know if it's health reasons or just some other things that are going on that he needs to take care of, or what. I'm not going to speculate. I just hope everything's okay. But I know Ben and Mark have officially have been on the Facebook page saying he will be here for our show in October. That they've confirmed that. So he will be here. So whatever is going on, it's just basically it's going to be applying to the next couple weeks. So stay and hope everything's okay.
One of those, if you haven't got an autograph from him yet, you better do it this time. I hate to say things like that, but it's like you said. It's like you said, he's 89. So it's like Ernest Borgnine. I got his autograph 3 weeks before he passed away. Which, of course, now people are going to tell me, no, don't get Stan Lee's autograph, man. You're the killer.
Les and I were planning to go to the convention. That convention is the Texas Frightmares. For those who don't know what we're talking about, we were going. One of the main reasons we were wanting to go is we were wanting to see him. I wanted to see him.
Yes.
Because that was one of the reasons, as I knew that this would probably be the last time, because he was 93. And let me go ahead and bring that up since we brought up Texas Frightmares. It was announced late last week for next year's show. Tom Skerritt and Veronica Cartwright from the original Alien will be here. These are very rare appearances for them. So, but they are right now. They're confirmed to be there next year. I want to go see Tom Skerritt because I want to tell him thanks for picket fences. I liked the show. I'm sorry, no one else did, but I liked it.
I want to say thank you for MASH.
Oh, the original MASH. That's true.
Yeah.
We lost James there. So. Oh well. Okay. With that, we will bid you a fond adieu, and we will be back 2 weeks from tonight, which will be
the 9th.
The 9th. We're not sure what we'll talk about then. We have time to figure that out. So, but if you have any suggestions, please let us know. Shoot us something. Let us know at email at thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. We would definitely look at it, and who knows? And once again, the Hall of Fame voting goes on through this coming Sunday. So get them in, and we will reveal this year's class next Friday, which would be the 6th, the 5th or 6th. So, the 5th? Okay. So, until then, you guys take care, and we will see you in a couple weeks.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye, gang.